Thank you for watching Morning at NTV. We come back to you again speaking matters of national importance here at the Ministry of ICT with the State Minister, Godfrey Kabbyanga. My name is Raymond Tamale, and say good morning to you who are watching us from wherever you are. Good morning, Minister.
Good morning, Rama. How are you?
Fine, how are you? Let us start off from the hot topic right now in the city.
Which is that?
Taxes. Not to go into deep about taxes, but I just want to understand. Every financial year, the government comes up with new tax proposals, be it on fuel, be it on alcohol. But the question here is about service delivery. People are asking, if you get this much from us, what is delaying you from doing the services that are really needed by the people in hospitals, roads, and all that?
Sincerely, I think government is doing a lot when it comes to service delivery. But I think the match is not matching with the current demographic trend. The population is increasing faster than probably the expansion of the infrastructure. And I think that's why there are some deficits here and here, gaps here and here. But government is doing a lot. We are collecting taxes, yes, but all these taxes are being put to good use. But also the resource envelope is not as big as people think. But sincerely, we are doing a lot with the resources that we have.
Do you think it is better for government maybe to look at also the informal sector and also look at getting money from out of them?
Yeah, all those are discussions about looking at the formal sector, how we can bring the formal sector on board.
Yeah.
When I was still a mayor, I visited. We were financed by an NGO, a Dutch organization called VNG, and we went to Kuala Lumpur. And when we reached there, we found they had a system where they had somehow formalized the formal sector. The way they have organized their markets, call it the window market.
Yeah.
The way they have formalized such a type of transactions was very, very interesting. To the extent that the tax authority in that country and the local authority, the urban authority, they work together in terms of trade order, and they also work together in terms of collecting of taxes. And even here it had started. We had what we call TREPS. I don't still remember it in full, where Uganda Revenue Authority, the Municipal Council, and the Uganda Registration Services Bureau were working together. We would move together, say to a market, and we register the traders.
Yeah.
Those who need TIN numbers, URA was there to do it immediately. Those ones who needed the registration of a company before you get a TIN, URSB was there. Those ones which needed licenses, the Municipal Council was there. And I think that's even what that's what brought in the idea of the one-stop center, the service centers, which are under Ministry of Public Service. And Kasese has one of the best service centers, the pilot, because in that service center you have URA, you have URBS, you have NSSF, you have the municipality, you have URA. So all of them are operating in the same place. And then you also have the representatives of bankers, agents of bankers. So you meet that the town is so organized that nearly everybody is paying their tax. So all the tax bodies are moving together. And therefore, when this one pays a license, you are able to also assess and see whether they are supposed to pay income tax or not. And it's working very well.
The reason I'm saying that, Minister, is because I feel like if we widen the tax base for people who are supposed to pay taxes, I think the strain will be lesser on the population than it was before.
That's true. That's true. And that's where we are going. And that has been the discussion in cabinet, to see how we can widen the tax base, to see how we can bring in the what we call the formal sector. And the formal sector now is might be even handling a big chunk of the business transactions. You may meet even covers more than 40% or 50%.
Just to get a small of the one of the taxes that were proposed, the tax on fuel, adding more shillings on it, 100 shillings now they're going to be 20 shillings on it. Honourable Minister, someone would say that there is no reason for government to increase the taxes on fuel, given the fact that two fronts, you guys are fronting renewable energy, and then also talking about our oil in the ground. So how does a Ugandan really?
There is still a lot of stakeholder consultations. So I can't say we are going to increase the taxes on fuel. That one, it would be unfair for me, because Ministry of Finance is still doing a lot of stakeholder consultations on the new tax amendment bill. So let us wait and see what they have finally come up with. Otherwise, I've had I saw it in the monitor, tax proposals, whatever. But it's good they also call the tax proposals. However, there are still a lot of stakeholder consultations. Ministry of Finance hasn't really come up with a proposal which I can really comment on. But what I can say is there will be some aspects, some taxes. There will be some increment in taxes on some aspects, but there will also be reductions on some. But the most important thing, and it's not even, we are not even targeting tax increments. We want to see how we can streamline tax collection, because that is very, very important.
That's
true. And what we are doing now is to see how we can strengthen Uganda Revenue Authority in terms of human resource and also going digital. And I would like to thank the Commissioner General. I think he's doing well as far as digitization is concerned. Me, I'm a border boy, and I know what has been going on. At least there is a lot of digitization. I now don't, because we border boys, we used to get a lot of money through clearing. But now, and you know, it was issue of being in Nakawa, you see Nakawa was sort of a market. But now, I don't need to come to Nakawa if I'm clearing goods in bond. I just do it online. And that one has reduced, first of all, face-to-face interactions, and therefore it is reducing corruption. And it has really, the transactions have become faster. So clearing has become easy, it has become faster and thorough. So I would like to thank the Commissioner General for work well done.
Still speaking about taxes, let us speak about corruption. We've seen that over and over again, Ugandans are willing to pay the taxes and on time. And even some are even fined when they are paying their taxes. But the issue here is mostly about corruption, Honourable Minister, whereby a government official swindles money for a hospital, a health center 3, for a road. As government, what are we really going to do about this moving forward? Because it has been a vice that has been going on for more than 20 years, basically.
This coming budget, Ministry of Finance has allocated, has really proposed the allocation of some funds to the anti-corruption institutions, and so that they can really add manpower and also digitize. But what I would like to assure all Ugandans, if we can really go digital, some of these corruption tendencies will be collapsed. But we also need to strengthen supervision. I think that's where also we are missing the point. We need to strengthen supervision, even at local level, because the person who is building a hospital is building it in a village which has an LOC1 chairman, which has a chairman movement, which has a chairman FDC, which has a chairman NUP. all those leaders are there. Uganda is not sort of leaders that can monitor and supervise projects. But somehow, people just ignore their roles and start complaining about the president, about a minister who is in Kampala. I would like to urge all Ugandans that let us be supervisors of government projects in all our locations and using whatever positions we have. That's the only way we can defeat corruption. But I think we can really defeat it. Because if someone is building a hospital somewhere and you see that work is not good, below standard, in our language we say, even if you are not a cattle keeper, you can look at a sick cow and say, I think this cow has a problem. So you don't need to be an engineer to see that someone is doing substandard work. So let us all rise up and fight corruption. Let us rise up and fight those people who steal drugs from hospitals. All those are things which we need to fight. Let us all fight. If someone asks a bribe from you, report that person. Record and report. Because now we have gadgets. If you ask for a bribe from me, I can say, okay, you come and pick the bribe, and I record you and report to police. But you admit that we are also accomplices as wananchi. We also think you can always get a service by bribing, and then you grow up like that. So it's really so bad. We need to fight corruption jointly.
Honorable, still speak about matters of national importance. Let us speak about the civic space in Uganda. Every day that goes by, it keeps on shrinking. Just the other day, FIA came out and suspended another group of NGOs that include Agora, Chapter 4, and even AIJ for Seranja and Raymond Mojoni. What is really going on with government? And they're implicating them that they did not account for 70 billion. But you know that NGOs or civic space is supposed to be there to check government here and there once in a while. So if you keep on shrinking, what really happens?
First of all, once you operate in an ecosystem where you are regulated, you should go by the rules of the game. Every NGO to operate here is given a permit. Just as NTV is given a what? A license.
Yeah.
So when NTV is licensed, it's given conditions of what? Of the license. And if you don't play by the rules of that game, the license can be revoked. So even a permit can be revoked, depending on whether you are playing within the rules of the what? Of the game. So I've not yet gone deep into investigating why all these civil society organizations, NGOs, permits have been revoked. But it's true, Finance Intelligence Authority has found out that some of these NGOs are getting huge sums of money. I will not go into figures. And the Ministry of Internal Affairs is investigating where they are getting the money from, for what activities. Are they spending that money according to their budgets? And I think once that one is done, then the permits can be reinstated. Yeah, but me, what I can advise those NGOs or civil society organizations is, if Financial Intelligence Authority has said you received this money, but we don't know where you got it from, we don't know how you are spending it, go and show them the source, and also show them how it is being spent. But I've seen them on TV, you know, services will be clogged. No, I don't think civil society and NGOs provide a bigger percentage of services in this country. No, not at all.
Okay.
I think the only non-governmental institution that can convince me that they provide services are religious institutions, churches. Because if you look at some of the schools, like government-aided schools, most of them are church-founded. So those ones can say, okay, I think, and when you look at hospitals, most of them, some of them are church founded. Look at Mengo, look at Rwanda, look at Zambia, but tell me any civil society NGO here which has a hospital here that if we close, then services will be paralyzed. I think they should also stick to their lane. Some of these NGOs and civil society organizations spend more money in buying faster vehicles than even providing service. But we don't go into criticizing them. We don't go into criticizing them. We respect them because they gave them the money to buy those faster vehicles, and we are not bothered about it. But for them, it's as if they concentrate on criticizing the government. Okay. Not at all. Okay. I think let them use a more civic way of negotiating their terms. But this issue we demand, no. It doesn't work like that.
I want to go further than that. Thank you, Honorable, for your time today. That was the Honorable Minister for State and ICT, Kabbyanga, speaking about matters of national importance, taxes, and civic space. We'll meet again next week, same station, NTV. Morning at NTV comes back again tomorrow morning. We'll be saying Naroga. I stay Raymond Tamale for NTV.